700 federal agents, 120 reputed rival gang members. Bronx, New York. It's believed to be the largest gang takedown in New York City history.
It's a link in my bio, click it. I'm going viral every minute.
This is Slim Hoffa, and welcome back to part 3 of our deep dive into the police documents surrounding the tragic case of Orrin and Orson West. If you've been following along, you already know that the details in these reports expose a disturbing truth about what really happened to these two innocent boys. In part 2, we went over key law enforcement records, including police interviews, initial reports, and search warrants. We discussed how early on, investigators found contradictions in Trezell and Jacqueline West's statements, inconsistencies in their alibi, and a lack of evidence to support their claim that the boys simply wandered off. Surveillance footage from their home and neighbors played a critical role in showing that Orrin and Orson were not seen at their California City home in the days leading up to their reported disappearance. We also examined forensic findings from the adoptive parents' home and the evidence that suggested Orrin and Orson had not been there for some time. Law enforcement search efforts extended to Bakersfield, where more troubling discoveries were made, further dismantling the West's story. Now in part 3, we're taking an even closer look at new details from the case files. More from witness statements, investigative findings, and the physical evidence that ultimately led to the arrests of the adoptive parents. What else did law enforcement uncover? What key details were hidden from the public? And how does this all tie into the final moments of Orrin and Orson's lives? There's a lot to uncover, so let's get into it. Type investigator. Follow-up subject Mary Martinez's phone, author 1207, Hernandez Christian. Related date, Jan 18, 2021, 8:01. On Thursday, 12/31/2020, at approximately 1600 hours, I assisted Detective T. Hernandez in her 954 with looking through Jacqueline West's mother's cellular telephone, which he authored a search warrant for. On the messages portion of the phone, I observed several messages that were in Spanish, and it was regarding the missing children. It should be noted that these messages were saved due to these messages appearing to be pertinent to this case. On 12/21/2020, at 8:31:41 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Luis, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, "Sí, todo se va a poner peor." Buenas noches, Mom. ¿Qué? On 12/22/2020 at 5:03 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Luis with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone asking, "¿Cómo va todo, Mom? ¿Encontraron a los niños?" This translates to, "How is everything, Mom? Did they find the children?" On 12/24/2020 at 9:55 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of GO-HO 2020-235120. Detective Arrest received a message from this cellular telephone stating, "Buenos dias, Sandra. Yo estoy como loca, no puedo ha." This translates to, "Good morning, Sandra. I am like a crazy lady. I can't." On 12/24/2020 at 9:30:25 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, "Si quiere vamos en la tarde a ver qué podemos hacer." This translates to, "If you want, let's go in the late hours and see what we can do." On 12/24/2020 at 9:32:05 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, "No pude dormir anoche." This translates to, "I couldn't sleep last night." On 12/24/2020 at 9:32:52 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number received a message from this cellular telephone stating, "No más espero en Dios que ya los encuentren, Jack. I just hope in God that they are found now." On 12/24/2020 and 33 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra, upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, "Si quiere, Yo me quedo con los niños y usted vaya así. This translates to, if you want, I will stay with the children and you can go. On 12/24/2020 at 9 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, que la necesita. This translates to that they need you. On 12/24/20 at 9:54 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Arriba, Sandra Upsina Arriba, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, yo no sé, pero está raro que la misma semana que Navidad. This translates to, I don't know, but it is weird that in the same week of Christmas. On 12/24/2020 at 9:54 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number received a message from this cellular telephone stating no sabemos nada. This translates to we don't know anything. On 12/24/2020 at 9:36:49 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating no puede ser que no hay rasgo de nada, no tenían cama. This translates to it can't be that there is no traits of anything. They didn't have a bed? On 12/24/2020 at 9 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number received a message from this cellular telephone stating no. On 12/24/2020 at 9:49 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, usted ya fue allá? This translates to, did you already go over there? On 12/24/2020 at 9:43 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, mandame unas fotos de los niños a ver si alguien y. This translates to send me photographs of the children to see if someone. On 12/24/2020 at 9:44 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number 6go NACO 2020-235120. Detective arrest received a message from this cellular telephone stating, luego hablamos. This translates to, we will talk later. On 12/24/2020 at 9:45:05 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, voy a salir a las 4 p.m., lo que necesite, voy a po. This translates to, I am leaving at 4 p.m., whatever you need I will. On 12/24/2020 at 3:30 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number received a message from this cellular telephone stating, Sandra, cuando salgas del trabajo, no puedes ir al. This translates to, Sandra, when you get off of work, can you go to? On 12/24/2020 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number received a message from this cellular telephone stating, Sandra, cuando salgas del trabajo, no puedes ir al. This translates to Sandra, when you get off of work, can you go to? On 12/24/2020 at 4:04 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, ya estoy aquí. This translates to, I am already here. On 12/25/2020 at 7:41:20 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number received a message from this cellular telephone stating, buenos días, Sandra, ya estoy subiendo los niños al. This translates to, good morning, Sandra. I am loading the children too. On 12/25/2020 at 7:41:20 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number sent a message to this cellular telephone stating, no más necesito ponerme la ropa. This translates to, I just need to put clothes on. On 12/25/2020 at 7:48 hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of received a message from this cellular telephone stating, okay. On 12/25/2020 at 1:56 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of received a message from this cellular telephone stating, John Ryan Detective BPD. On 12/25/2020 at 2:55 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, Gracias. This translates to thank you. On 12/25/2020 at 4:37 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, a upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of 6, sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, I already printed them. On 12/28/2020 at 11:45:40 a.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, Nada de noticias. This translates to nothing of news. On 12/28/2020 at 12:33 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of received a message from the cellular telephone stating, Nada todavía. This translates to nothing yet. On 12/28/2020 at 12:48 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, with a telephone number of sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, Si hablaron con el abogado que me habló patras. This translates to, Did you all speak with the lawyer because he called me back? On 12/28/2020 at 12:06 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of received a message from this cellular telephone stating, Sí, pero quiero de llamar para atrás, gracias. This translates to yes, but he said he would call me back. On 12/28/2020 at 12:06:20 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, okay. On 12/29/2020 at 2:42 p.m. hours, a subject who was listed as Sandra Vecina Arriba, Sandra upstairs neighbor, with a telephone number of sent a message to the cellular telephone stating, Quiere que vaya Jocelyn a aullar con los niños. This translates to, Do you want Jocelyn to help out with the children? It should be noted that there were photographs and call logs on the cellular telephone that at this time is unknown if it is pertinent to this case, and were saved. No further information. Investigator follow-up. Subject, video canvas near Yokuts Park. Author, 1068, Paris Jesse. Related date, Jan 19 to 2021, 1016. On Wednesday, December 30th, 2020, I, Detective J. Perez Narin 68, completed a canvas for video footage from the area of Yokuts Park. I checked the following locations: Stockdale Radiology 4000 Empire Docker, 3900 Truxton Avenue, Central Valley Occupational Kern Radiology, 2301 Bahamas Drive, 4105 Empire Drive, 4120 Truxton, 4140 Truxton Avenue. All locations did not have footage for the requested timeframe. Subject PR 449739-and 12 and air was 11. Author, 954, Hernandez. Related date, Jan 19th, 2021, 14:18. On Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, at 10:30 hours, I began to review the HP laptop, which was Bakersfield Police Department property PR 449739-11. I found no items of value at this time. A final report was completed. Investigator follow-up, subject 1/19/21. Author, 954, Hernandez Thomas. Related date, Jan 20 to 2021, 1606. On Tuesday, January 19th, 2021, at 1600 hours, Detective Perez and I returned and contacted Wanda West. The following is a synopsis of the interview, which was captured on Axon BWC. I explained to Wanda West that I need to clarify a few things from our previous interview. I asked Wanda West about the move between September 18 to 20th, 2020. I asked Wanda West if the U-Haul was returned in California City, and she said the final truck rental was returned to the U-Haul in California City. Wanda West said she and Trezell West then returned together in her rented vehicle on 9/20/20. Wanda West said she dropped Trezell West off at the Go Naja 2020-23-5120 detective arrest to pick his van up. Wanda West said she and Trezell West then drove out of the apartment complex parking lot before going their own directions. I asked Wanda West if she observed which children were at the California City residence prior to her leaving on 9/20/20. Wanda West said she had been sleeping in one of the kids' bedroom, and she had still only observed. I asked if she observed Trezell West go into Mary Martinez's apartment and she said he did not. Wanda West said Trezell West got into his van and they left the parking lot together in separate vehicles. I explained that I was aware that Wanda West was going to speak with. I asked Wanda West if she would consent to allowing us to record the telephone calls and asked the children if they had any information regarding the disappearance of Orrin West and Orson West. Wanda West provided verbal consent allowing us to record the telephone call. Wanda West first spoke with Wanda West began speaking with recent events since being placed in protective custody. Wanda West asked Orrin West and Orson West were, and if he had seen them, Orrin West or Orson West. Wanda West asked where said he had not seen if the other kids were going to talk with her, and he said he did not know if the call was private. Wanda West asked when the last time he saw Orrin West and Orson West, and he said he did not remember. Asked Wanda West if she received the video of Trezell West attempting to light a fire in the fireplace, and she said she did not get a photo. Wanda West asked if everyone had their own bedroom in California City. Wanda West asked where Orrin West and Orson West were, and he said with Mary Martinez. Wanda West said she felt that when spoke about Orrin West and Orson West, he would change the topic quickly. Wanda West then spoke with over the telephone. Wanda West asked he had seen Orrin West and Orson West and West were missing. Wanda West asked said Orrin West and Orson how he knew Orrin West and Orson West were missing, and he said from the caseworker. Wanda West asked if he missed his brothers, and he said he missed Orrin and Orson. Wanda West asked, remembered the last time he saw Orrin West and Orson West. Go 212-235120. Detective arrest if he said the last time he remembered playing with Orrin West and Orson West was in the apartment in Bakersfield. Wanda West asked if he played with Orrin West or Orson West at all in California City, and he said he did not. Wanda West asked California City at all. Wanda West asked Carr when they came to Bakersfield to visit her and said no, they were dead. Wanda West said they were dead a long time ago. Disappeared. Wanda West asked they never found them. Wanda West felt it, however did not know. Wanda West asked if Orrin West or Orson West were in. If Orrin West and Orson West were in, said Orrin West in the van and how they died, and said Orrin West and Orson West how he knew, and he said from the caseworker, and why he said they were dead, and he said why he would say Orrin West and Orson West were dead, and he said it was a joke. Wanda West asked how he knew all the information, and he said from the caseworker and Miss Mary. Wanda West asked if Trezell West ever told him about the kids, and he said he did not. Wanda West asked if his faraway dad told him because said there was no father in the foster home, then ended the call. Then said, no, 'cause they didn't care, they were missing. The above statements were not verbatim. For complete details regarding the interview, refer to the copy in evidence.com. Subjectment on 12/22/20 to CPS. Author 8/8/24 Oneski Lance. Related date Jan 25, 2021. On 12/22/20 at 11:11 hours, Kern County Child Protective Service social worker Sunya Barton interviewed at the Jess Diamond Center. I was not present for that interview, but I reviewed the video of that interview on 1/125/21, and the following is a synopsis of that interview. Barton used the Lyon 10-step interview process, which he showed he understood, and he showed he understood the difference between the truth and lie. He said he lives with Go 2020-2335120 detective arrest. He said he gets homeschooled by his parents. He said he lives in the desert, but he formerly lived in Bakersfield. He only remembers his parents living with him in Bakersfield. Barton asked him if he knew what foster parents are, then responded by saying Orrin West and Orson West were living with them in Bakersfield. He said Orrin West went to their maternal grandmother's house and Orson West went somewhere. His maternal grandmother lived next to them when they lived in Bakersfield. However, at an unknown time, after Orrin West went to his maternal grandmother's house, he went there and observed Orrin West was not at her house. Barton asked if he had seen Orrin West or Orson West since they moved and said he had not, but they were supposed to come back to live with them at an unknown time. He said he did not know where they are at this time. He said he heard talking about where Orrin West and Orson West went, but he did not comment on that further. He said his parents never told him where Orrin West and Orson West went. He said Orrin West and Orson West never moved with them to the desert. But they weren't with them in Bakersfield when they moved. Barton asked where they went. He said they might be in Bakersfield, but he does not know their whereabouts. He said no one asked him to keep anything a secret. He said his mother and father disciplined them. Barton asked what would happen to Orrin West and Orson West when they get in trouble. He said his mother and father would give Orrin West and Orson West cold showers when they peed on themselves. But he did not know why the water was cold. He said bit some soap when he peed on himself, but he never peed on himself again. He said ate half of the bread that was supposed to be for all of them. Their father said would only get bread in the future by putting the bread in some soup that does not like. He said their mother put something hot and some salt in the soup and had to eat his bread in the soup as a punishment. Only got that soup one time. He did not remember when that happened. Said he has never been punished. Barton asked about a scar that was near his eye and another scar on his chest, but he did not know how he got those scars. Investigator follow-up. Subject statement on 12/22/20 to CPS. Author 824 Oneski Lance. Related date Jan 25, 2021. On 12/22/20 at 11:11 hours, Kern County Child Protective Service social worker Sunya Barton interviewed at the Jess Diamond Center. I was not present for that interview, but I reviewed the video of that interview on 1/25/21, and the following is a synopsis of that interview. Barton used the Leon 10-step interview process, which he showed he understood, and he showed he understood the difference between the truth and lie. He said his mother and father are his school teachers. He lives with his parents. He said Orrin West and Orson West lived with them in the past. He said Orrin West and Orson West left, and he does not know where they went. He said their father spanks Orson West with his hand on his butt 10 times if he continuously cries. That never happened to Orrin West. He said his father spanks him when he gets math problems wrong. Barton asked if his father ever leaves marks on his body when he spanks him, and said he did. He later said all of the juveniles who live in their residence get spanked by their father when they misbehave. He said Orrin West peed on the floor and Orson West peed in his diapers, resulting in their father giving them a spanking with his hand. He said the last time he goed Hadlojurge Dahau 20235120. Detective arrest peed on himself at home. He got in trouble and we go to grandma's. He said his mother gave him a cold shower. Barton asked if the water was ever hot when he had that shower. He said right before she turned the water off, she made the water cold. He said the cold water in the shower was not a punishment, but was simply an effort to wash him. Barton asked what happened to Orrin West and Orson West, and she asked where they went. Said he did not know. He said it had been a long time since he had seen Orrin West or Orson West. He said he currently lives in the desert. Barton asked him if he got in trouble involving the bread. He said he did not know. She said mention something about bread and soup. He then said there was bread, vegetable, eggs, and spice in the soup. He said it was good spice, which was hot, but he liked it spicy. He said the soup was not good. And if he did not eat it, he would not get anything good, like chips. Subjectman on 2220 to CPS. 824 Oneski Lance. Related date, Jan 25, 2021. On 12/22/20 at 12:35 hours, Kern County Child Protective Service social worker Sunya Barton interviewed at the Jess Diamond Center. I was not present for that interview, but I reviewed the video of that interview on 1/25/21, and the following is a synopsis of that interview. Barton used the Leon 10-step interview process, which he showed he understood, and he showed he understood the difference between the truth and lie. He said he lives with his parents and his brother, said his mother teaches him and his brothers. However, his father only teaches his cousin. He said they were living in an apartment in Bakersfield, but they moved to a house in California City. He said Orrin West and Orson West lived with them when they lived in Bakersfield. He said his parents told him Orrin West and Orson West went to their own home, which happened because they cry a lot. He said their own home is in the desert, but he could not elaborate. He said Orrin West and Orson West moved away from them when the West family was still living in the Bakersfield apartment, and they never went to California City with them. He said his father would spank Orrin West and Orson West because they would cry so much. He said his father is great at spanking. He explained that his father spanks them softly on the buttocks, but it hurts. He said his father would spank all of the children. He said they wouldn't sustain any marks on their bodies when they got spanked, but Orrin West and Orson West's buttocks would bleed as a result of being spanked with the metal part of a belt. Buttocks never bled. Barton asked him to tell her what they have to do to get cold showers. Said they get cold showers because Dad puts it on cold. But he did not know of anything they would have to do to get a cold shower. Said he asked his father if he could make the water warm when it is cold. But his father tells him no and keeps the water cold. He said the cold showers would happen to all of the juveniles, including Orrin West and Orson West. He said when he gets a cold shower, it is not a form of discipline. He said his mother allows them to do what they want and to set the temperature of their own showers. He said Orrin West and Orson West would sleep on the floor because they did not have a bunk bed. Barton pointed out a bruise and scratch on the inner portion of his right wrist, said he did not know when or how he sustained that bruise and scratch. He then said he felt that was caused by flexing his thumb, and he said he scratches it. Investigator follow-up. Subject, statement on 12/22/20 to CPS. Author 824 Oneski Lance. Related date, Jan 25th, 2021. On 12/22/20 at 11:11 hours, Kern County Child Protective Service social worker Sunya Barton interviewed at the Jess Diamond Center. I was not present for that interview, but I reviewed the video of that interview on 1/25/21, and the following is a synopsis of that interview. Barton used the Leon 10-step interview process, which he appeared to understand, and he appeared to understand the difference between the truth and lie. He said he currently lives with his mother, Jack, and father, Trezell, in California City. He said his parents told him Orrin West and Orson West are currently at their maternal grandmother's, Maria, house. Geonhajtar 2020-235120. Detective Arrest said he did not remember when Orrin West and Orson West went to their grandmother's house. He knows they were living with them on Devin West's birthday in July 2020. He believed they left a couple of days after they moved from Bakersfield to California City, but was before September 2020. He has not seen them since then. Mother and father said Orrin West and Orson West were going to come back to live with them, but they did not say when that would happen. His parents did not say why Orrin West and Orson West were staying with their grandmother, Maria. He has not seen Maria since Orrin and Orson went to stay with her. Maria also lives with other foster children. Said his grandmother, Wanda, brought him and his 3 brothers to Jess Diamond Center for interview on 12/22/20, who they were visiting before the COVID-19 virus spreads again. He expected his parents to pick him and his brothers up later in the day of 12/22/20 or the next day. He said he is homeschooled. After speaking with, Barton spoke individually with at the Jess Diamond Center. Following those interviews, Barton spoke with again on 12/22/20 at 12:58 hours, and the following is a synopsis of that video recorded interview. Barton mentioned having an incident when he peed on himself before they went to their grandmother's house. Was knocked out and peed on himself, indicating he was sleeping. Said their parents make wear a diaper. Said when he and the other juveniles who lives with him get punished, their father lectures them, sends them to the corner, and nothing further occurs. Barton told him his brothers mentioned getting cold showers as a form of punishment, paused, and said he believed his brother must be referring to when the water is initially turned on for a shower, and it takes a few moments for the water to get hot. He also said, plays with the water during their showers, indicating that adjusts the water temperature during times that have taken showers at the same time in the past. Said he has never received a cold shower as a form of punishment. He said they had taken cold showers when the weather was hot, but his brothers had not told him about having a cold shower as a form of punishment. He then said was supposed to take a cold shower because he peed on himself as a form of punishment. Said he believed Orrin West and Orson West had taken cold showers when they were living with them too. Barton told him that his brothers mentioned being spanked with a belt, causing bleeding, and she asked him if he ever saw that occur. Said no, that he was in the other room, and that was a long time ago, because now they only receive lectures for punishment rather than physical discipline. Barton asked him when he stopped physically disciplining the children. Said his father doesn't want to stress himself out anymore and stopped physically disciplining the children when they moved to California City. He said his buttocks was never bleeding as a result of spanking. He felt his brother's buttocks were never bleeding from being spanked, and he feels they were exaggerating when they said that. He said their mother usually does not get involved in disciplining the children. He said there is not anything going on at his residence that causes him to worry. Investigator follow-up. Subject statement on 12/28/20 to CPS. Author date 8/24, unlated date Jan 25th, 2021 1. On 12/28/20 at 15:40 hours, Kern County Child Protective Service social worker Sunya Barton interviewed at the Jess Diamond Center. I was not present for that interview, but I reviewed the video of that interview on 1/25/21, and the following is a synopsis of that interview. Barton asked him what has been going on since she spoke with him on 12/22/20. He said he has been crying because he was taken away from his parents as a result of Orrin West and Orson West going missing. Barton asked him to tell her more about that. After pausing, looking away, and taking a deep breath, said he did not know where Orson West currently is. He said Orrin West choked while he was sleeping and his parents found him. At that time, they were living at the Casa Loma apartments in Bakersfield, next to their grandmother's apartment. He said Orrin West had vomit coming out of his nose and he was cold to the touch. Further explained, the night before they discovered Orrin West deceased, his mother and father chopped up his food in a blender and made it into a drink because of the way Orrin West would eat his food with his mouth open. He did not remember what kind of food they chopped up and made into a drink for them to consume. Orrin West liked the drink, but Orson West did not like it. Orrin West consumed his drink, food. Orrin West also stole Orson West's drink, food, and consumed it as well. Their mother and father were in the room when Orrin West stole Orson West's drink, and their parents told Orson West to punch Orrin West so Orson could have his revenge. Was in the other room, which was bedroom, after the time they told Orson West to punch Orrin West, and he did not know what happened after that time, is unaware of anything else unusual occurring that evening, and they went to bed. He said he heard weird noises during the night, which he thought was one of the other boys burping. And Orson West all woke in the morning at about 800 hours and were getting ready for school while their parents were trying to wake Orrin West up. But they were unable to wake him. Orrin West was in the bedroom where all 6 of the boys sleep. At that time, Orrin West was lying on his belly. His color was fading, and there was vomit coming out of his nose, causing to believe he vomited in his sleep. Knew Orrin West had passed away because he felt cold to touch, and his parents said he was dead. When his parents discovered what happened to Orrin West, they were crying. Both of his parents, and he discovered Orrin West did not wake up, but they kept that a secret from the other 4 boys because they did not want them to get scared. His parents told the police would think they were unable to take care of the children, and the children would be taken away if they told anyone about it. His parents asked him if they should keep it a secret, said he chose to keep it a secret. They asked if they should call for medical aid and told them no, because then we would be taken away. All of the children started their homeschooling. His parents told the other children that they took Orrin West to their grandmother's, did not know what happened to Orrin West's body because he was doing his homeschooling after that. He said they moved to California City about a week, which he defined as 7 days, after Orrin West died, and Orson West moved with them. About 4 days after they moved, Mom and Dad were still getting our stuff from the apartment, and they took Orson. His parents told that they took Orson West to their grandmother's, Mary, apartment in Bakersfield. While they were taking Orson West there, their paternal grandmother, Wanda, was watching the other 4 boys in California City. His parents never told anyone about it. He said he never told anyone about what happened prior to telling this to social worker Barton. He said Orrin West and Orson West cried a lot, and when they did that, their parents would talk to them and smack them on their cheeks, facial, and on the buttocks with their hands and a paddle stick. He said all of the juveniles were disciplined by being hit with the paddle stick when they deserved it. He said would get cold showers when he peed on himself while he was sleeping. Orrin West and Orson West did not pee on themselves because they were potty trained. Said all of the boys had their own beds, and at Barton's request, he drew a diagram which shows how their beds are arranged in their bedroom. Along with the DVDs Detective Hernandez provided to me, which contained the video recordings of the interviews with N, was a copy of that diagram. I later scanned that diagram into this report. Subject 1121 password, with author 954 Hernandez, related date Jan 25th, 2021, 11:25. On Friday, January 1st, 2021, at 13:50 hours, Detective McIntyre, number 1160, and I responded to Maribel Moreno's residence. We contacted Maribel Moreno en vol. The following was captured on Axon BWC and is not verbatim. I asked Go, 2020-23512 Detective Arrest, if he knew the passwords to the electronic devices that the family used. Said the one he knew were tablets, phone passwords were, parents' passwords were said, Jacqueline West phone was a dot password that was unable to provide any further at this time. Investigator follow-up. Call to parents 1521. Author 954 Hernandez Thomas. Related Jan 25th, 2021, 13:39. On Friday, January 5th, 2021, at 15:04 hours, Detective Garrett and I responded to Maribel Moreno's residence. We contacted Maribel Moreno and Menendez, and we obtained consent to place a pretext call between and Trezell West and Jacqueline West. We provided no context with the call. Jacqueline West and Trezell West began telling they were looking for the kids and not to worry. Trezell West and Jacqueline West began to tell he did not have to talk with anyone if he did not want to. The call concluded shortly after. For complete details, refer to the recording which was uploaded into evidence.com. Investigator follow-up. Subject warrant 1821. Author 954 Hernandez Thomas. Related date 25th, 2021, 15:17. On Friday, January 8th, 2021, at 11:38 hours, Detective Wood, number 198, California City Police Officer Hanson, Bakersfield Police Department, Lab Technician D. Martinez, L2, Detective Gavin, number 1106, Sergeant Jarity, number 943, and I responded to California City to execute a search warrant, which was authorized by the Honorable Judge R. Tafoya on 1/7/21 at 5:26 p.m. Upon arrival, I knocked at the front of the residence and announced police department search warrant. I received no answer after approximately 2 minutes. Officers were able to gain access into the residence through the garage door. Upon checking the residence, it was found to be unoccupied. Lab Technician D. Martinez took digital photographs prior to and at the completion of the search warrant. Upon searching the residence, I located the pruning shears in the garage along the east wall. The significance of the shears was they were purchased days prior to Orrin West, and Orson West were reported missing. The shears were photographed and seized by lab technician D. Martinez. No other items were located at this time. Investigator follow-up, Brandon Johnson, Hart Park. 9/10/54, Hernandez Thomas. Related date, Jan 25th to 2021, 1536. On Monday, January 11th, 2021, I received a telephone call from a subject by the name of Brandon Johnson. Johnson advised he was hiking in the foothills south of Hart Park when he observed a large white metal truck bed toolbox at the bottom of a ravine. Johnson contacted police due to it being in a suspicious location, and his concern was that the missing California City children may have been inside the toolbox. Based on the time of day, we were unable to locate the item. Senior Officer Routh and Officer Hama responded to the area on 1/12/21 and located the toolbox, which was found to be empty. We were unable to locate any further at this time. Investigator follow-up. Subject Chromebook search. Related date, Jan 27, 2021, 1448. I received the extraction results for property report number 449739-5 and 449739-6 from Detective Hernandez. I reviewed 449739-5 and found this appeared to be a Chromebook issued by conducted a Google search and found I to be an online school. I found 2 documents from titled Parent Report in the names of Delayed Walk. The class indicates the children were in, conducted a Google search, and found at the time of the test. The documents were dated 9/3/19. I to be an online school. I also noted several usernames and passwords which may have been used by an adult. I tagged several items, including a phone number. I did not locate additional information known at this time, which would assist in this investigation at this time. I reviewed 449739-6, and this appeared to be a Chromebook issued by Go 2020-235120. Detective arrest and used by Web. It appears used this Chromebook for school assignments. I did not locate additional information known at this time, which would assist in this investigation. Investigator follow-up W. Author 1106 Gavin Keegan. Related date Feb 01 2021 9. On 02/01/2021 at about 0900 hours, Detective Gavin, number 1106, conducted follow-up. On 02/01/2021 at about 0900 hours, Sergeant Garrity, number 943, Detective Hernandez, 954, Detective Gavin, number 1106, Detective Bill, 910, Detective Ryan, number 1127, Officer Hansen, and I responded to 10-7117 Aspen Avenue, California City, to execute a search warrant authorized by the Honorable Judge Bradshaw. Upon arrival at the residence, the search was conducted. Lab technician D. Martinez, TAR L2, assisted during the search warrant. Bakersfield Police Department detectives and lab personnel searched the residence and yard. During the search, I noted ground-penetrating radar GPR was conducted by PG&E employees in the backyard area. Additionally, Wilderness Finders search dog teams Ember Delanoy and Mike Delanoy assisted during the search. During the search warrant, 2 search dogs were utilized and no positive hit was recorded. During the GPR examination, there were no indications or anomalies detected consistent with disturbed ground or human remains. At this time, no additional evidence or relevant information was located. I later scanned the search warrant, affidavit, and return into this report. Investigator follow-up. Subject 1/22/21 Warrant Gate. Author 954 Hernandez. Related date Feb 01 2021 1545. On Friday, January 22nd, 2021 at 10:48 hours, Detective J. Perez, number 11068, Sergeant R. Dossi, California City Police Department, Lieutenant J. Hightower, Bakersfield Police Department, Lab Scene Technician P. Harrelson, and I responded to execute a search warrant, which was authorized by the Honorable Judge T. Clark on 1/19/21 at 10:33 hours. Upon arrival, I knocked on the front door and announced search warrant. However, no answer was received. The windows were boarded up, and it was determined after several minutes that no one was in the residence. We made entry through the rear door by removing the wood and then forcing entry on the rear door on the northwest portion of the residence. Lab technician P. Harrelson took digital photographs of the residence and took a Leica scan of the interior of the residence. Senior Officer Routh assisted by taking aerial video footage of the residence and the neighboring empty lots. I removed the chain from the east gate, which was where Trezell West indicated that Orrin West and Orson West had left from. I noted prior to manipulating the gate, the dirt on the outside of the gate was undisturbed. Upon pushing the gate outward, I observed the gate left quarter circle impressions in the dirt, and it took a substantial amount of force to push the gate outward. I noted upon pulling the gate inward, the bottom of the gate wheels marked the concrete, which again caused difficulties in manipulating the gate easily. Lotter Hightower had a fishing scale, which we attached to the gate. Upon pulling the gate in an outward and upward direction, it indicated over 40 pounds of pressure was used to move the gate, and the gate was still difficult to manipulate. I determined it would have been a very difficult task for Orrin West and/or Orson West to manipulate the gate to exit the yard. GO 2020-23510. Detective arrest. The manipulation of the gate was recorded on Axon BWC and was also photographed by lab technician Harrelson. We were unable to locate any further at this time. That's all I have for you today. My heart truly breaks for Orrin and Orson West, two innocent little boys who deserved so much more than this. We've covered difficult details from CPS interviews, disturbing allegations of discipline, and the troubling inconsistencies in statements surrounding their disappearance. In Part 4, we'll continue to fight for the truth and justice these precious boys deserve. Thank you all for being here, and please leave your thoughts in the comments below. This is Slim Hoffa, and until next time, stay safe and hug your loved ones a little tighter tonight.
Subscribe, if you haven't already. And hit the like button. Only if you like my content. Thank you for watching Slim Hoffa True Crime Time.
It's a link in my bio, click it. I'm going viral every minute.